Course angle of the bow now, 0.
Down the throat. It's a bow shot.
Hey, YouTube modeling community. This is Rick, and this is my response to Mathew's query as to why we model and why we model what we choose to model. So I'm going to attempt to kind of explain my take on that. And in Word, I think my primary motivation is reflection, if you will. I think that's influenced by the fact that I had an extended absence from the hobby and returned as I retired, and retirement being kind of a time of reflection and looking back at things. So modeling provides me a way of kind of gathering my reflections, looking back at things. Starting back probably when I was around 8 is when I started modeling. This picture here, which I've shown before, dated February 61 is when it was developed, which would make me around 11 years old. This was a picture from what we called our den. You can see multiple ship models at the time. This one I can identify as the Nautilus, which had the totally incorrect canister for a Regulus missile. Nautilus never carried a Regulus. Wouldn't make any sense for a nuclear submarine to have to surface to fire a missile. Also over here you can see the Renwall Cutaway Polaris Fleet Ballistic Missile Submarine, FBM. And little did I know that probably about 9 years after this picture was taken, I'd be making my first patrol on an FBM. And I did recently find that kit and added it to my stash. I certainly plan to get to that and build that again. It's looking forward to it with enjoyment. Like I say, that modeling came to an end pretty much in 1966 as I went off to college. In the next 50 years, 1966 up through 2017, I built maybe 4 models. The time and everything was taken up first by the Navy. I went to college under a Navy scholarship. Wound up spending my summers aboard ship, and then had 6 years on active duty. So my total connection with the Navy was probably 10 years, and the vast majority of it associated with the submarine service. And of course, there was family and a career. So it was at retirement that I decided to get back into modeling. I developed some favorite genres, and I thought kind of the best way to answer the question is to go through those. And the order here is probably the order in which they dominate my stash, if you will. And I guess that's reflective of interest and importance. But one of the first things I modeled was the boat that I made 4 patrols on, the Stonewall Jackson. But it wasn't not necessarily boats I had to serve on. Recently, just this year, I finished up a model of the USS Grunion, which I had developed a really significant interest in following listening to a lecture on the search for the wreck and the eventual finding of that wreck. All of that coming from the sons of the captain who was lost. So developed an interest in it, wanted to pursue it, and part of that was completing the model. So after that, probably just a general interest in World War II history, special naval history. We did the Pearl Harbor 80th anniversary group build earlier this year. I did the tug Hoga, and got into its history and found it very interesting and a rewarding experience going back through the research on that. I've done things like the old Naval PT-212, updated to be a late war, because in fact it is configured from a torpedo standpoint as a late war boat. So and that also had some family connection in that I can remember as a kid, my dad actually built that kit while I was just starting to build. So that probably is the second genre that I enjoy building. The third is really anything with personal, family, or professional history and connections. I've mentioned a couple times that going back even to our childhood, we had connections at Mystic Seaport in Connecticut. And then we lived in Connecticut for almost 40 years as I had a civilian career. And we also were stationed in New London a couple different times. So I've been working on, or intend to be working on, the model of the Charles W. Morgan, which is the whaling boat that's in Mystic, and that's got a personal family connection for me. From a professional standpoint, having worked in the nuclear industry, in this dash we've got the nuclear ship Savannah. We're going to get to that at some point. And where we used to live in Connecticut, we were close to Bradley Airfield, and for a long time, Connecticut Air National Guard flew A-10s out of there. And this is a picture I actually took from our back deck one day while they were out training and flying over. So I'm looking forward to building the A-10 kit that I've got in the stash. So, really anything that's got a connection over time is stuff that I choose to build and like to build. From there, go on to subjects that are actually in many ways kind of connected. I certainly enjoy Star Trek and all the prior early sci-fi, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, and it's connected with 50s and 60s pop culture. Earlier this year, I did the kit bash to come up with the PT-73 from McHale's Navy, which was a lot of fun to put together, and we'll go back and watch some of those old episodes. Continuing down the stash and the things that I kind of enjoy modeling, it's Star Wars and later sci-fi, Battlestar Galactica. These were both builds from the last year that we did, and I'd say the other thing that makes the list for me are pre-1970 automotive. I don't get into a lot of the later automotive. Pretty much after that picture that I showed earlier from 1961, as a youth, as a teenager, got out of the fascination too much with the Navy ships and started building a lot of cars at the time. But I still enjoy looking at and building some of the older cars, but they're not a big part of my stash at the moment. And I bet you I only have maybe 2 kits of cars that are a post 1970 vintage. Okay, well, that's why I model what I do, and thank everybody for watching. Those of you that are subscribers, special thank you. If you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. There'll be a link at the end. So we'll be talking with everybody.